There is a hill on the edge of Bethlehem that most people never think about anymore. It is not a famous hill. It has no monument erected on it, no tour guide pointing toward it, no plaque explaining what happened there. It is just a hill-dry grass, scattered rocks, the occasional olive tree bending slightly in the wind off the desert. If you walked past it, you would not stop. You would not feel the weight of what once unfolded in that quiet, unremarkable place. But a boy sat on that hill once. He was not remarkable to look at, younger than his brothers, still carrying the softness of youth in his face, with the kind of eyes that seemed to be thinking about something no one else in the room could see. His father did not even call him in from the fields when the prophet Samuel came to the house. There were 7 older brothers to choose from, stronger, taller, more obviously suited for whatever was coming. The youngest one was still out with the sheep. His name was David. And, sitting on that hill, watching over a flock that could not watch over itself, he was learning something that would shape every word he would ever write, every battle he would ever fight, every prayer he would ever cry out in desperation into the dark. He was learning what it means to be led. Let me tell you something about sheep that most of us, living in cities and towns, have forgotten, or perhaps never knew. Sheep are not clever animals. That is not said to be unkind. It is simply the truth. Among all the creatures a shepherd might tend, sheep are uniquely dependent. They have almost no natural defense against predators. They cannot outrun a wolf. They cannot fight back against a lion. They have no camouflage, no venom, no shell to retreat into. If left entirely alone in the wilderness, a sheep will wander in a direction that feels right, follow the sound of water it cannot see, step toward the edge of a cliff because the grass looked greener there and not understand, until it is far too late, that it has walked somewhere it cannot return from on its own. David knew this. He had watched it happen. He had seen sheep drift toward danger with complete confidence in their own sense of direction. He had gone after them, sometimes at personal risk, pulling them back from ledges, driving away the things that hunted them in the night. He had found them in places they had no business being and carried them back across his own shoulders when they were too exhausted, too lost, or too injured to walk on their own. And somewhere in those long hours on that quiet hill, watching over a flock that trusted him without understanding why, something began to dawn on him. He was not so different from them. Years passed. A lot of years. Hard ones. The boy who sat on the hill was anointed king by a prophet, and then went right back to the fields, because the timing was not yet right and God's appointments rarely arrive on the schedule we would have chosen. He fought a giant with a slingshot and 5 smooth stones, and the kind of faith that sounds reckless until it works. He played the harp for a king who was slowly losing his mind, and who would, before long, be trying to kill him. He ran for his life through deserts and caves. He hid in enemy territory pretending to be someone he was not. He lost friends. He lost battles. He lost his own son. He knew what the valley looks like. Not the valley as a metaphor, the actual valley, the shadow. The place where the light goes thin and the path disappears, and you are walking forward because you do not know what else to do, and you cannot see far enough ahead to know if the path continues or simply drops off into nothing. And it was from the far side of some of those valleys, or perhaps from within the middle of one of them, we cannot know exactly when he wrote this. Only that he wrote it from a place of real experience, that David picked up his pen and wrote the words that have outlasted every king, every empire, every century that has tried to bury them. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. Notice what he did not say. He did not say, the Lord is my shepherd, and therefore nothing hard will ever happen to me. He did not say, the Lord is my shepherd, and therefore I will always know where the path is going. He did not say, the Lord is my shepherd, and therefore I will never walk through a valley again. He said, I lack nothing. Because of who is leading me, whatever I genuinely need is provided. Not whatever I want, not whatever I have decided would be best, what I need. And a shepherd who loves his flock knows the difference between those two things even when the sheep do not. This is where so many of us stumble. We read this psalm and we feel the warmth of it, the comfort of the imagery, green pastures, quiet waters, a restored soul, and we carry it with us into seasons of blessing and ease. And it fits beautifully there. The words feel true when life is good. But then the season turns, and the pasture is not green, and the water is not quiet, and the path we are walking is narrow and dark, and longer than we thought it would be, and somewhere in the back of our minds, a question begins to form. Is he still leading me? Did I miss a turn? Has he looked away from this particular sheep? David answered that question before we could ask it. He answered it in the 4th verse, which we have not arrived at yet. But he answered it, and the answer is, "The shepherd walks with you into the valley. He does not send you in and wait on the other side. He does not point toward the darkness and say, 'I will see you when you come out.' He walks in. His rod is with you. His staff is with you. His presence is not a fair weather presence." But before we get to the valley, let us stay for a moment in the green pasture, because some of us need to hear this part too. He makes me lie down. There is a tenderness in that phrase that I think we rush past. He makes me lie down. Not he suggests that I rest. Not he places rest as an option on the table if I happen to have time. A shepherd who understands his flock knows that sheep will not lie down unless several conditions are met. They will not rest if they are afraid. They will not rest if there is conflict in the flock. They will not rest if they are hungry. A sheep lying down in peaceful rest is a sheep that trusts the shepherd enough to be still. And so when God leads you to a season of rest, when the pace slows, when the striving quiets, when what feels like nothing happening is actually something deeply significant that is not abandonment, that is not stagnation. That is a shepherd who knows you need to stop and will, with great love and patience, make the conditions safe enough for you to finally lie down. Some of the most spiritually transformative moments in a human life do not happen in seasons of great activity. They happen in the quiet, in the pause, in the green pasture where nothing dramatic is occurring but the soul is being slowly, gently, thoroughly restored. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. The original Hebrew word here, the word we translate as refreshes, is the word shub. It means to turn back, to restore, to bring back what was. It carries the image of something that had wandered being brought home, something that was depleted being filled again, something that had come undone being made whole once more. He is in the business of restoration, not just maintenance, not just keeping you functional enough to press on. He is bringing back what was lost, filling what was emptied, making whole what was broken. If you have walked through seasons that left you diminished grief, that hollowed you out, loss that reshaped everything you thought you knew about your life, disappointment so deep it made you wonder if you still had the capacity to hope this is for you, the shepherd restores. The quiet water is not the destination, it is the means. He leads you there because he knows what your soul needs even when you have forgotten what it feels like to be whole. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. This line carries something that I think we often miss in the warmth of the surrounding imagery. For his name's sake. The shepherd's own reputation is bound up in where he takes you. His name, his character, his trustworthiness, everything that makes him who he is what guarantees that he will not lead you astray. He does not take you somewhere and then leave you to figure out whether it was a good destination. He guides you along right paths because to do anything less would be a contradiction of who he is. You do not have to engineer your own path. You do not have to figure out every step before you take it. You do not have to have perfect clarity about what is ahead in order to move forward. What you need is trust in the one who is guiding you. And the ground for that trust is not your ability to see the path clearly. It is his commitment to never lead his flock somewhere that destroys them. Whatever season you are standing in today, whether you are in the green pasture and your soul is being quietly restored, or whether you are in the valley and the light is thin and the path is hard to see, the same truth applies. He is your shepherd. He does not lose his sheep. He does not turn his back on the one who has wandered and then come home. He does not lead you to the edge of the path and then abandon you to find the rest on your own. He is present. He is guiding. He is committed to you, not because of what you have done or how perfectly you have followed, but because of who He is. For His name's sake, you do not lack what you truly need. The one who leads you knows exactly what that is, and He is faithful to provide it in the pasture, beside the water, on the right path, and yes, even in the valley. Because the Lord is your shepherd, and He has never lost a single sheep. Amen.